The following thoughts and opinions regarding this album are strictly of my own personal interests. I am not a professional music reviewer. I do encourage respectful discussion and friendly banter of each episode, but I do not condone and will not tolerate bullying or belligerence of any kind.
Well, hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rate the Record podcast, episode 120. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm your host, Chris, as always, sitting here in this studio in this chair in front of this camera for you, doing album reviews, and you can be part of the album review too. Let me know what you think about the albums and everything like that. It's super awesome to do that. It's music commentary. That's how this whole thing works. But once again, yes, I am your host, Chris. Thank you very much for joining me today. And before we go any further, just a quick reminder that if you do like what you see and or hear today, please do some of the things or all the things about the list to help show your support for the show. Like, subscribe, rate, share, comment, and follow. 6 of those things. All quick, free, and easy to do to help show your support for the show. Truly appreciated. You can wait until the end of the show if you want, but I'm going to remind you right now that is a thing that you could do. Please and thank you. And you can find all the places to do that over at ratetherecord.ca. That is ratetherecord.ca. Social media links, streaming links, merchandise links, and the RTR Club, the financial optional way to support the show. It is optional, but the option is indeed yours. $3 a month will get you early access to episodes. You can request albums for me to do for the show. You get a shout out on social media, quick and easy discourse with me, and of course, if you have a band and you want me to review a song of your band, I will gladly do that over there. And if I can compile enough of them, I'll make a video of it and much later on put it on YouTube, so that way it's all there and fun and easy for everyone to see and experience. Anyways, all of that can be found at ratetherecord.ca. And of course, if you've been here before, you know I gotta get that jargon out of the way. So hello, welcome back. Thank you for joining me once again for today's episode. Glad to see a bunch of familiar faces, or at least know that there's a bunch of familiar people out there who want to watch this once again. But if you're brand new, welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy your stay, have a good time, be part of the community, discuss music with me and everyone else as well. So if you don't know what I do here on the show, I mean, the title is pretty self-explanatory, but I digress. Each week I will choose an album, be it of my own choosing. Could be a request, maybe it's selling an anniversary or some sort of special occasion. Regardless, I'll choose it, listen to it front to back right here on the podcast. You'll hear it in a few second chunks because I don't get my ass kicked by copyright. I'll let you know my thoughts and opinions on the songs and the album, and then of course the bread and butter of everything, rank the songs and then rate the record. As per always, ta-da, magic trick, as if you couldn't have guessed that already. So, you already know what we're doing for episode 120. You can see it in the title, but for some reason you blind click this and you have no idea what I'm doing. Well, if you're watching the video version, good news. Just read my shirt. There it is. This is the band we're doing today. And if I just roll out of the way in my background, who's this pretty lad right here? This wide-eyed lad right here staring at my Gary Newman patch. That's Peter Murphy, lead singer of the band Bauhaus. And that's what we're doing. And we're doing the band's 1982 album, The Sky's Gone Out. Post-punk goth rock pioneers of the late 70s into the early 80s and everything like that. Obviously a well-established career. I don't really have to get into that part of it, but what I will do is tell you a little bit more about today's album. The Sky's Gone Out is the third full-length studio album by post-punk and goth rock band Bauhaus. The album was released October 22nd, 1982 through Beggars Banquet Records. The album was recorded at Rockfield Studios in Monmouthshire, Wales, Beck Studios in Wellingborough, England, and BBC Maida Vale in London, England. The band produced the album themselves, and they consisted of Peter Murphy on vocals, and members who would go on to form post-punk and neo-psychedelia band Love and Rockets, which consists of Kevin Haskins on drums, David John Haskins on bass, and Daniel Ash on guitars. The album received generally mixed to positive reviews upon its release. AllMusic and Record Collector gave the album 3 out of 5 stars. Though, Alternative Press would go on to put the album on their list of top 10 essential goth albums as of 2001. The album spawned 2 singles, a cover of Brian Eno's song Third Uncle, and Spirit. I had to come back and record this one if there's something I forgot to mention in the beginning before we actually get into the actual album. The one that you'll see on screen has 14 songs on it, but the thing is we're only doing songs 1 through 10, so Exquisite Corpse will be the final song that I review. There's 4 more after that, but those are like a re-release CD from like 1988, I believe, so if you know the show, we do original releases only, we don't do re-releases, so 4 songs will not count. It's going to be 1 through 10 only. Just wanted to say that. Enjoy the show. All right, there's a little bit for you about today's album, not a whole lot, but I mean, there are stuff there to take on. And one note, too, that I didn't know until doing this album is that the vast majority of this band went on to do the band Love and Rockets, which I also really like. I happen to like Daniel Ash a lot, too, so that was quite surprising to find that out. I'm surprised I was today years old when I found that out. And by today years old, I mean I wrote this review a few days ago, so that's when I found out. Anyways, I'm talking too much. We got to do today's album. I wish I had a vinyl to show you, but it's hard to find Bauhaus albums nowadays that aren't at least $100. So eventually I will have a vinyl. It'll be great. Can't show one off today, so we might as well just go ahead and get this started. Song number 1, Third Uncle. All right, we got a long fade out here, so I'll just pause it there. Song number 1, Third Uncle. I will start off by noting that, as I mentioned in the intro to this album, that this is a cover of Brian Eno's 1974 song Third Uncle. The album was called Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy, so there you go. Hell of a long title there. I went back and listened to the original too because I had never heard it, so I just wanted to kind of compare the two. Not that it factors into the score, but I just kind of felt like doing that. The original was still fun, and it was still kind of like experimental and bouncy in its own right, but this one has a hell of a lot more life to it. It's just a lot more energetic, and I think that's what makes this a great start to this album, absolutely. Everything sounds like it's having fun. First, you have these like dueling layers of like drums and percussion going on, like the hand beat and percussion, just the regular drums too. I kind of like how that's going through. And just the excellent guitar work, and the bass is having a lot of fun doing a lot of small fills and absolutely just bouncing on the beat. Like, there's a lot to appreciate about this, a lot of fun to be had in this one. And I also like how it starts to feel like it gets a little more unhinged as it goes too, especially towards the end, and especially with those two like harmonizing vocal parts that come in a little later in the song, and they're just kind of shouting over top. Well, one's quieter, the other one's like shouting in these like staccato kind of notes. I think that's really a lot of fun. It's fantastic. There's a lot of good stuff happening here. It gets pretty damn repetitive, but you know what? It's a bop. I don't care. This song is fantastic. Great start to an album. Having a lot of fun. Let's see how we pick up with song number 2, Silent Hedges. And as we get that fade out, song number 2, Silent Hedges. It's nice to get something of a different flavor following the hyperactive energy of the first track. This one still has a decent amount of life to it, though. Like, it's not as like highly energetic, but it's still there, especially with that kick drum just kind of leading the entire charge for the pulse of the entire track. And also, I had to give the obligatory comment to those who have been on the podcast before and understand what's going on. Love me that distorted bass tone. It's a really nice one. I like it. It's kind of muffled a bit, but you know what? It's not bad at all. I enjoy it. If you're new here on the podcast, there's plenty of podcasts to go back on where I talk about how much I love the sound of a good distorted bass. It's just one of those things I'm a whore for, just like a good use of tom drums in a song as well. So again, if you're new here, you'll learn that pretty damn quick. I do like this one for the most part. The moody but like faster pace atmosphere is pretty cool. I do enjoy this one, but it never really feels like it goes anywhere. I think like towards the middle, maybe we get something a little bit different, or maybe just a little past the halfway point, but not too much. Like, you run on the idea of the second verse for pretty much the entire song, and then that's the entire song in a nutshell. It's too bad because, again, I do like this one. So I won't dox too many marks off it, but it just feels like it could have taken off into something else. But still a good song, nonetheless. I don't want to complain too much about it. I do very much enjoy this one. So let's move on to song number 3, In the Night. Okay. Oh, you too. Anyway, song number 3, In the Night, just the little grunt he gave at the end there. I know I usually put some of the audio of the music into the show. I don't know if that would have come out properly, so I just need to say why I did that weird grunt myself. Anyway, You might have listened to the album already, as you should if you're listening along with me, so that we'll understand. Anyways, I just like how entirely different the composition feels in this one overall. I think a lot of that comes from the actual drums themselves, because it feels very different on compared to what you usually get. And I should say that's in the first half of the song, because in the second half it just gets much faster, much more energetic. So yeah, that first part was pretty cool. Kept me interested right away and got even more interesting as the song went on too. I really liked that. It's nice to have some experimentation too with that tempo change and everything like that. It's almost a stylistic change as well, so that's really cool. And then you have these like noisy layers sprinkled all about and everything like that. So it's really cool. And I mean, in the end, this one feels like two different tracks, but I think it works well to combine to make a whole, rather than just like two separate tracks combining and making a weird idea out of it. That's happened in previous reviews in the past, not necessarily this season, maybe so, I don't know. I've done like 20 of these episodes already, I could barely remember, but it's definitely come up in the past where like a song will do like 2 or 3 different ideas in one, and it doesn't work. That might happen a little later. Well, we'll get into that, but this one's energetic though. It's a nice pickup from the previous track. It's nice to have this. So wondering where we're going to go now as we get into song number 4, Swing the Heartache. As it fades out and fades away, song number 4, Swing the Heartache. This one, just unnerving, really dark, pretty ominous as well, but still kind of sexy in some ways. I don't know, it's kind of like, you walked into the wrong gothy, sleazy, sexy kind of club down some sort of back alley type way. I don't know, that's just the vibes you get from it, but I don't know, something about it still works. I really like it. It's very sparse and kind of instrumental with like all the layers of instrumentation as well, because you get like these really unhinged guitar parts that are kind of just sprinkled in everywhere, and then you get that gunshot of a snare drum that's just kind of pounding its way through the entire song, and then that like thumping bass that kind of works as a kick drum. I think that's a really cool pairing with the snare drum. I think it just works really well, and the bass also just kind of keeps the song feeling more full. So nice little choice there. Even feeling as minimal as it is, it's still a pretty damn good choice. And that with the demented like synth drones, it all makes out to be this like just really cool, unnerving, and interesting track. So I'm really liking this one, like more than I think that I would, but I don't know, maybe it's just more my style then. Anyways, with that said, we will now move on to song number 5, Spirit. Song's got long fade out, so I'll just kind of pause it there. Song number 5, Spirit. This one has something of a happier atmosphere to it, not even taking into account the lyrics or anything like that. Because, you have these, like, the major chord, like, vocal harmony, and, like, the honestly warming and welcoming nature of the instrumentation kind of really catches me off guard, especially considering the contrast of the last song that I was just talking about. How it was, like, dark, sexy, kind of sleazy, and weird and unnerving. But no, this one felt, like, way more positive, so it's just kind of weird, had flip-flops like that. And listen, I get it. I know that Bauhaus is, like, drenched in Bowie influence. I'm not making fun of David Bowie. I love David Bowie. That was an accident, slip of the tongue. Regardless, drenched in David Bowie influence. Of course they are. And like here on the screen, if you're looking at the video version, you could see song number 11 over there is a cover of Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie. I'm not covering that one, by the way, if you missed the beginning, not covering it. Only doing 10 songs. The other 4 are part of a CD re-release thing. Doesn't really matter. So whatever, I digress. Bowie influence everywhere, but like especially in this song in particular too, it's pretty heavy. Especially like Murphy's like lyrics and vocal presentation are like just absolutely drenched in it. And I think you could say that about the last track too, and probably many other songs on this album, but this is the one I made a note for it. So I think that's where it's gonna kind of pop out in my head the most. And obviously it did. And I don't know, this one gets like a little messy and stretchy towards the end. I don't know. I mean, nearly 2.5 minutes of "We love our audience." And if you're watching the video version, you saw me stare right into the camera, mouthing the words "We love our audience." Because yeah, nearly 2.5 minutes of that. It gets dizzying and, I'm going to be honest, kind of annoying before too long, which is very unfortunate to say, but it's true. And for your information, you want to know how annoying you can get. Not only is 2.5 minutes a long time for one line to be repeated a bunch of times, it's repeated 76 times. And it's done on the style of like a chanting choir too. So yeah, enjoy that, will you? I hope you've been listening along with me. Like, you can pause the songs and listen to the song and then hear my review about it. That works too. So if you had to hear that too, good on you. I'm not alone. I do like Bauhaus though. I'll rip on that part, but I mean, other than that, I like Bauhaus. Let's see how much I like it if we move forward to song number 6. We're into a trilogy of songs now, starting with The Three Shadows, Part 1. All right. Song number 6, The Three Shadows, Part 1. This one, very moody, super thick with its atmosphere, kind of a low-key instrumental too, which is a nice middle ground to have for the album. And not only that, but it does act as a good starter for this trilogy of songs we do have coming up. I would say that it does stretch on a bit, and I think some of the time used in this song would probably do better in one of the other 2 tracks for this trilogy. And if you want me to be really specific right now, I would say Part 2 for sure. We'll get into that part of the review as we get to it. But yeah, I don't know. This one's stretched a bit, but I do like it. I do like just how mysterious it feels, but this would have been better being like a 3-minute piece. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, let's continue on and see why I think Part 2 deserves that time with song number 7, The Three Shadows, Part 2.
Oh, gentlemen, the rat race begins. Bloated breast.
That baritone voice just to end everything on Part 2 right there. There it is. Song number 8, The Three Shadows, Part 2. So I'll get into why I feel like the song deserved more of Part 1's time in just a second. I want to start by just kind of saying overall for the track, this one's a very dreary feeling track, but I think there's definitely more to pull from this one as compared to Part 1, because you have vocals, there's much more of a rhythm that you can follow. It's not just like simply drifting and everything like that. So I think that works for that. And yeah, like there's, as I said, this one's much more rhythmic because it's got like a waltzy feel to that. And I think, not to that, but to this song. And I think that really adds to like the unease of what's happening and the dreariness. So it's just kind of nice to have that as you're going through. It's very hypnotizing. So I rather enjoy that. It's nice. Pulls me in a little more. Again, more to pull from it. But yeah, so I feel like this one was building as it progressed. And it felt like it might have gone to something, but then the momentum it gets cut off before finally peaking, which one would assume that you would add on into Part 3. Not to spoil too much, it kind of hits a peak in Part 3, but not the one I think this one should have. So I think some of the time from Part 1 should have came to Part 2 to kind of like built it up just a bit more, made it feel a bit grand, like something's really going to happen. Then boom, Part 3 happens, and then you can kind of get into that. I guess the only thing I could do now is talk about Part 3, but we got to listen to it first. So song number... Oh, wait, it was song number 7 was Part 2. Number 8 is The Three Shadows, Part 3. I'm sorry, the green cursor threw me off a little bit. Okay, well, that's the end of part 3. That's the trilogy right there. Song number 8, The Three Shadows Part 3. The shortest of this trilogy of songs. This was like, just barely over a minute and a half. It's also not the peak I was expecting or hoping for from that building feeling I was getting from part 2. That's why I made the comment I wish that part 2 kind of had something a little more to go with at the end there, which again, this one is the liveliest of the 3 and you get a little more out of it, but at the same time, it feels like a little lackluster of where it could have taken you at the end. This one does incorporate, though, a lot of acoustic experimentation, which I kind of do really like. You get these strings like violins, fiddles, something along the lines of that. You get a piano, very plucky strings in the background, and they get these like brush stick snare taps as well. So that instead of just a whole kit, you just kind of get that. So it's kind of nice to have that instead. And what sounds like a double bass as well. And it really kind of changed the mood of the entire trilogy and really of the entire album, because like, although this one still felt dark in a small way, just the acoustic feel of everything and taking out like most of the electronic elements really kind of put this in its own place, which I found interesting enough. But yeah, it's kind of an underwhelming end to the trilogy, but not necessarily a bad little track. So I like what they did with it, just wish there was a little more of it and wish it was a better ending to the trilogy. That's all I can really say. We're almost done, though. Speaking of the end, 2 more songs to get us to the end of this album. So song number 9, All We Ever Wanted Was Everything.
Get up, the sound of the drum.
And as we're pulled out of that, song number 9, All We Ever Wanted Was Everything. Don't we all? But anyways, this is actually quite a pretty track. I like this one. And again, it's far more acoustic leaning than previous tracks. And even if you want to compare it to, like, especially Shadows Part 3, this one was a little more sparse and a little more minimal as well, but I think it worked well with what it was given, so I really like it. And the pacing was really nice. This one didn't feel like it had to build much more. It kind of did build as it went along, but just everything about this was structured properly. I really like this. And I love that distant, muffled layer of electric guitar that you get to. It's like a nice little textural touch to kind of just throw into the song. Helps enrich the entire track, so I don't know, it's short, it's sweet. I like this one. Probably not as much as I originally did, but I have definitely grown to like this one. So yeah, good job. I feel it's the true ender of the album, but indeed there is one more song. Guess we'll have to check it out. Song number 10, Exquisite Corpse.
Life is but a dream. House of petals are no more a corroded.
It was cold. The person we saw.
And it just stops dead there. That's it. That's it. Like the dead end of the album. Song number 10, Exquisite Corpse. Now, it was an interesting enough title, and I just happened to come across by accident what the hell that even meant. I didn't know it was a term for anything. I didn't know it was to describe anything. I just thought it was a title for a song. I've never heard the phrase exquisite corpse before. So to those of you who have also never heard of the term exquisite corpse, apparently in art, it's basically when many collaborators, or at least more than one, kind of incorporate their own individual pieces into a work and make it into a group collective type deal. Like, you know, adding words or images or music or something like that. Like, imagine like 3 people doing one painting at the same time on the same canvas. And so, like, you know, you divide it into thirds, or if you want to do 4 people, even quarters. So like each quarter is like, boom, and that's like an exquisite corpse apparently. And so that's actually what this song is too, so it's very fitting because this song is about 4 ideas fit into one. So it's just very strange, I guess, a strange way to want to end the album. I do like some parts of the ideas presented, but all mixed together, it just really makes it really hard to truly enjoy it. I don't know, I don't think this should have ended the album. I guess I can appreciate the experimentation and just really trying something different, But honestly, this should have been a bonus track. This shouldn't have been the final song on the album. And I think there's other releases that kind of like cut this one out or do make it a bonus track, but this was the original release, so this is how I have to count it. I don't know. It's just very incoherent to everything else going on. Again, fun ideas being presented, but I'm not big on it as a song as a whole. Like, I would not come back to this one and listen to it again. So, I don't know. Definitely not big on that one, which is unfortunate. I don't like talking bad about Bauhaus, but here I am. I kind of have to sometimes because that's part of reviewing music. Can't be biased. If you don't like it, you gotta say so out loud. But I don't really have to say much more because I'm now at the end of reviewing Bauhaus's The Sky's Gone Out. So thank you very much for making it all the way to the end of the album with me. But hold on. There is indeed more to do, but I'll just remind you really quick to like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. If you do like what you've been hearing so far, please go ahead and do that. Appreciate the support. But you can also wait to do that if you want. You can do it now, you can do it later. It doesn't really matter because we have to move on now. So I gotta get rid of Spotify off the screen there. Screen is empty until I do this with my hands and then suddenly look, numbers show up 1 through 10. It's time to rank the songs. Least favorite to favorite, not so great to great, least preferred to preferred, most preferred. However you want to cut the cake, please just cut the cake. The kids have been crying for half an hour. They just want the damn cake. Just give it to them, okay? I guess it's my job because it's my podcast. I have to do this. So 1 through 10, I guess we'll do this. So let's go ahead without any further hesitation. Let's go. Song number 10, Exquisite Corpse. Number 9, Spirit. Number 8, The Three Shadows Part 1. Number 7, The Three Shadows Part 3. Number 6, The Three Shadows Part 2. All out of order. Wonderful. Number 5, All We Ever Wanted Was Everything. Number 4, Silent Hedges. Number 3, In the Night. Number 2, Swing the Heartache. And number 1, Third Uncle. Of course, that absolute bop of a hyper energetic song was going to be number 1 on this list. It's so goddamn fun. It's so fantastic. I love it. Great start to an album. Great addition to the album. Gotta love it all the way through. So there's my rankings, 10 through 1. They look lovely. You can shoo now, whatever, because it is time for this fella to show up. Yep, on screen now it says rate the records. So you know what we got to do? We got to rate the record. That's exactly what we got to do. So what did I think about this album? Do I like Bauhaus? Can you tell? Well, anyways, you need an actual score to go along with everything too. So as much as I do like Bauhaus, it actually kind of breaks my heart a little bit that this wasn't an A-tier album. I do like a lot, but the weak parts made it a little weak, especially Exquisite Corpse being on here. I wish the cover of Ziggy Stardust could have been on here. Probably would have helped improve the score a whole lot, but unfortunately, this fell to a straight B tier, like middle of the road B tier at 76.5, just shy of a B plus tier album. Listen, we've done the Smiths, we've done the Cure on the show before, and I really like both of those bands. I'm really into like the 80s style of like, you know, dark wave, post-punk, jingle pop, like, or jangle pop, I should call it. Like all that kind of stuff. Like I really enjoyed industrial music. Obviously, I love Skinny Puppy, Nine Inch Nails. I got Ministry Patch back there. Anyways, I'm digressing. I love all this stuff and I love listening to it, but sitting here listening to it like thoroughly front to back as an album and reviewing track after track after track, obviously you find more flaws in it. But I think albums like this, even The Sky's Gone Out, is a very enjoyable listen front to back if you're just having it on casually and just kind of doing your own thing. It works. It's good. I like all this stuff. I hate rating it lower than I actually want it to. You can fade away now. Fade away. Fade away. Okay, it faded away. Good. It listened to me. Sometimes it doesn't. It's usually off camera though. Anyways, if you're listening to the audio only version, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't worry about it. Watch the video version. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. So thank you very much for joining me, hanging out with me, and listening to this album. If you did indeed listen to this album, please do me a favor. Let me know down in the comments below of wherever you're listening. Audio, video, doesn't matter. There's comment sections everywhere. What did you think about this album? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you agree or disagree with my opinions? How would you rank the songs? How would you rate the record? All this kind of stuff and more, I want to know down in those comments. Your opinion means a lot to me because I've been sharing mine with you for the last half hour. Now I want to hear yours. You have one on this album. please let me know. I'm super curious to hear it. You can also find other places to let me know if you go over to ratetherecord.ca. That is ratetherecord.ca. Streaming links, social media links, merch, and of course the RTR Club, $3 a month. Check that out if you're interested. Once again, that is ratetherecord.ca. And just one more reminder to like and subscribe and follow all that fun stuff, just to make sure this is the end of the episode. I gotta remind you one more time to do it, just in case you haven't done it yet. There's your reminder. Go ahead, especially if you like today's episode. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Alrighty then. Wow, we're flying through this season. I think we only have like 8 more episodes left at this point. So we're in the month of October when this episode comes out. So I will give you a hint for the next 3 episodes. I've tried to pick artists and bands that were more like, relevant to spooky related things. So for at least the next 2 episodes, there is some hints for you. That's all I'm going to give you for now. So until I see you next week for the podcast, go listen to more awesome music, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care, friends.